In the winter of 134 BC, beneath the cold skies of Sinope, on the southern shores of the Black Sea, a boy was born who would grow to terrify the greatest empire of the ancient world. His name, Mithridates, scion of the royal house of Pontus. From the cradle, whispers of betrayal followed him. Only months earlier, his father, King Mithridates V, had died under mysterious circumstances, rumored poison that seeped into every corner of court intrigue. Visualize the young prince, eyes wide with fear, as courtiers in silken robes spoke in hushed tones about secret vials and unseen assassins. On broad oaken tables sit hundreds of clay and glass pots, each labeled in Greek or Persian script. Nightshade, hemlock, belladonna, hemlock water dropwort. By the time he was 20, Mithridates boasted a body resistant to any toxin his enemies could devise. At 25, he cast his gaze upon Asia Minor, where Roman governors ruled as puppet kings. He forged alliances with disaffected Greek city-states. Athens, Rhodes, and Cappadocia joined his banner, trading silver and ships for the promise of freedom from Roman tyranny. He drank hemlock-laced wine at feasts, swallowed powdered venoms as a daily ritual, and wore amulets carved from the carapaces of poison-resistant beetles. Generals like Sulla and Lucullus unleashed punitive campaigns, stripping Pontus of territory and vassal states. By 66 BC, Pompey the Great, fresh from conquests in the east, turned his legions toward Pontus. Every knock at the door could bring a new threat. Every ally could be a traitor. By now, the man who sought to master toxins had become a tyrant and terror, every moment steeped in suspicion. Pompey's legions, battle-hardened and supremely disciplined, converged on Panticapaeum in the Crimea. Instead, he retreated to his private chamber, surrounded by jars of powdered venom, bottles of slick oil, and the anxious whispers of his household. His immunity to poison had reached mythical proportions, yet now it was his torment. Mithridates attempted a last-ditch diplomatic front, offering Rome tribute and client-state status in exchange for peace. He pours into it an emerald-green concoction, a blend of strychnine, arsenic, and hemlock so potent that even a drop could kill an elephant. The steel sliced through skin, muscle, and vessel. Mithridates' final scream echoed off cold walls. Yet, ironically, it was the very mythos of his immunities that captured imaginations for centuries. Scholars debated whether his regimen offered true immunity or simply masked symptoms. Death in its purest form is swift, a final cut, a single stroke. But Mithridates knew too much. His body shielded him from instant release. Imagine being trapped in your own flesh, every nerve aflame, your mind crying out for release while your body commands you to endure. In alchemical lore, his name became synonymous with ultimate mastery and ultimate folly. It was not the dignified end written by poets, but a brutal act of mercy, a sword strike to free a man from his own legend. He drinks, expecting relief through swift death. Instead, he feels a burning in his throat, a convulsion in his gut, and nothing more. The king, voice hoarse, pleaded, "Let the sword deliver me from this torment." In our quest for invulnerability, be it medical breakthroughs or technological prowess, there lies a shadow. What if our greatest defenses become our undoing? Join us as we unearth the forbidden truths and chilling tales buried in the shadows of time. The guard hesitated, tears flooding his battle-scarred cheeks. Finally, he raised his blade, gleaming, cruelly precise. But the Senate demanded unconditional surrender, salt in the wound. Rome would decide his fate. His life reminds us that the line between genius and madness is razor thin, and that sometimes the greatest curse is survival itself. In the cold stone halls of his fortress, Mithridates grew paranoid. Walls were whitewashed to cover poison-tongued plots, servants tested daily, and confidants reduced to terrified informants. Pontic triremes ambushed Roman quinqueremes in the Bosporus. Armies clashed at Chalcedon and Cyzicus under banners emblazoned with snarling wolves. Servants rushed in and out, checking his pulse, whispering apologies. Advisers knelt by his side, offering swords and kill shots. But the poison that ravaged his intestines could not pierce the fortress his own body had become. Yet, for all his victories, Mithridates never let down his guard. He drank from silver chalices lined with hidden compartments of poison that only he knew how to neutralize. Every feast was potentially lethal, every cup a test of his might over death itself. Historians record Mithridates as both strategist and demagogue, reading speeches to thousands, promising liberation, and then leading them into battle himself. Legends spread that he could walk through a rain of poisoned arrows unharmed. Small, sinister-looking instruments, bronze scalpels, bone spatulas, and iron hooks gleam in the lamplight. Here, prisoners, slaves, and condemned criminals were brought, tested, and experimented upon. Mithridates retreated, leaving behind scorched earth provinces. He fled northward into the rugged Caucasus, seeking refuge among Scythian tribes and Cimmerian hostages. Still he carried his vials of poison and the grim hope that his mastery over toxins would deliver him from this crisis. His mother, Laodice, a woman of formidable strength, tightened her grip on his small hand and vowed, "No one will ever poison my son." By age 7, Mithridates was tutored not only in warcraft and oratory but in the dark art of toxins. Under flickering torchlight he watched scrolls, some penned in Athens, others smuggled from Alexandria, detailing poisons, from aconite to arsenic. The same knowledge that destroyed my father, he thought, will protect me. He would watch as a man convulsed, sweat drenching the stone floor, until he vomited or fell unconscious. If he survived, vials were marked Level 1, Level 2, Alpha Dose, and so on. Mithridates kept meticulous notes in a leather-bound codex: temperature, time to convulsion, recovery period. This was no mere king's curiosity. It was a scientific crusade to conquer mortality. Draw your mind to a hidden chamber deep within the palace, a sanctuary of nightmares. Mithridates, even as a teenager, insisted on administering microdoses himself. Over the years, the doses increased. What once caused seizures became no more than a mild discomfort. Mithridates' immunity became his shield, but his ambition was the spear. Spectacular battles were fought in sun-blasted plains and on storm-tossed seas. Roman historians labeled him the great enemy of Rome, a title he wore with perverse pride. The First Mithridatic War ended inconclusively, but Rome's appetite for revenge only grew. Picture the siege of Amasea, winter winds howling through broken walls, catapults flinging flaming pitch, and Roman soldiers hacking through frozen gates. Understand the psychological torment of a ruler who believed himself invulnerable. In one account, he entombed a traitor alive, sprinkling the walls of the cell with concentrated oxalic acid to serve as both punishment and chemical deterrent. Spring of 63 BC arrived, and along with it, the final Roman advance. Desperate, Mithridates made a fateful choice. He would not surrender to shame. Imagine a king, trembling with age and fear, clutching a goblet painted with the royal seal. For hours he writhed in agony, his body betraying him after decades of obedience. Broken in spirit and body, Mithridates turned to his most trusted guard, a man who had fought at his side for decades. The blow came swift and merciful, almost at odds with the king's own theatrical flair. In Rome, Pompey paraded Mithridates' body through streets lined with jeering citizens. Triumphal arches commemorated the fall of the poisoned king. Medical treatises in Alexandria and Byzantium dissected his methods under the term Mithridatism, the practice of inoculation against poison. Reflect for a moment on the real terror in Mithridates' end. This is the horror of surviving death, of becoming a grotesque monument to your own ambition. Mithridates VI's story resonates today with unsettling clarity. Power, after all, is never absolute. Hubris tempts fate, and even the most meticulous preparations can unravel in a single moment. Mithridates VI fell not by his enemy's hands, but by the very shield he forged to protect himself. If you found this journey into ancient cruelty and ambition gripping, subscribe to Vaults of History. Until next time, remember, the deepest vaults of history hold the darkest lessons.